Hello, welcome back to 10 at 10. My name is Michael Ramage. I'm the director of the Cyber Education Research Center here at Murray State University. And welcome back to 10 at 10. 10 at 10 is brought to you through a partnership between Murray State University, Sprocket, West Kentucky, KY Innovation. And we are delighted to have you back for episode 291 of 10 at 10. Yes, 291. It's really hard to believe we've been doing this. I say that every time, or excuse me, at least I feel like I say that every time, because it really has been a long time, and amazed that we're still doing this. But today I want to talk about something that, I don't know, is not really that exciting to most folks, and I'm okay with that. But it's also one of those things where we are seeing more and more vulnerabilities show up because of the people who we trust. And in this case, we're talking about the supply chain. So I came across an article. Actually, it was from a few months ago, but it was an article from the CSO magazine. Used to be a magazine, now it's an online website. But they talked about 5 steps to strengthen your supply chain security, improve your cyber resilience. The fundamental piece is this. When I was a kid, and they would talk about what happens, STDs and all these different things, trying to scare you um, with different diseases or illnesses or whatever it might be. And there was a comment, I can always remember, that you're not just kissing the person that you're kissing all the people they've ever kissed. Well, okay, maybe that's a really bad analogy, but in the cyber world, we're not just trusting our security, we're trusting the security of everybody that we do business with. That's our supply chain. We're trusting the people that make our controllers. We're trusting the people that are managing our network virtually. We're trusting the people that are our cloud providers. We're trusting the people that are providing us application software. We're trusting all of the people in our tech ecosystem the same way that we're trusting ourselves by default. So there are a number of things that we can do to make ourselves a little safer. I'll give you an example. Over the past week or two, there's been some major vulnerabilities and focused attacks by nation states on our water wastewater systems. They're targeting PLCs, programmable logic controllers. There's a number of vendors that they're targeting, but they're not targeting the vendor. They're targeting the vendor to target the water system. That's an important thing that we need to keep in mind. And I'm going to run out of time before we even get started. So when we're thinking about our supply chain, we need to map our supply chains and map our critical dependencies. And what I mean by that is that map may be the wrong term, but having an inventory of all the vendors, all the software as a service providers, all the open source components that we use, all the IT service providers that we use, the cloud infrastructure, all the different services that we're using. And I actually think it's really interesting on their list, and this again was from CSO. They also include the API integrations. And what that is that we're writing a piece of software for our company, or just hypothetically we are, and there's a piece of it that we don't want to write ourselves, or we don't know how to. So we go grab something and we pull it in and we use that API. That's one of our libraries that we call. Well, even though you may not realize it, we're trusting that API. We're trusting that IT provider. We're trusting that software vendor. We're trusting all these people by default. Am I saying don't trust any of them? No. Yes, we should trust them. However, we also need to make sure we understand what it is that we're trusting. Number 2 is that once we have that list, once we've mapped out that ecosystem for our supply chain world, then we need to evaluate and we need to monitor our suppliers' security posture continuously. And what I mean by that is that, again, we're trusting not just ourselves, but we're trusting everybody that we do business with to some degree. So how often do they update? We know that we're supposed to update on a very regular basis. Do they know they're supposed to update on a very regular basis? If they're not doing it, then is that going to cause problems to us? Maybe so. What is their development practice? Are they doing a secure development practice? And if so, what does it look like? Or what does their patching and vulnerability program look like? What does their incident response program look like? All of those pieces matter. All of those pieces matter. So when you're starting a new relationship with a business, you need to talk to them about some of these things so that you can understand um, what you're going to be trusting. Next is, and this is no matter how well you work with those first two pieces, here's some things that you can do to make sure that if that bad things happen, that you can reduce how bad it gets, reduce the blast radius of what's going to go bad. You can do that by requiring your vendors to do a few things. Require MFA. Only allow them access for what they need when they need it. If they quote need an account, but you do an audit and you find out that they're not using that account, then get rid of it. Then remove it. There's so many different things that we can do in this space, but you can require certain things of your vendors. I can assure you that you're not the only one that is requiring some of these things from your vendors. So make sure that they are using strong access controls, and that they are applying least privilege permissions. You're segmenting vendor access from your network. So not only is the vendor doing this, but you're doing this as well. You may remember whatever that's been 10 years ago when Target had their issue. Part of Target's issue was that the HVAC supplier was able to get access, or a bad guy was able to get access through that relationship, through that trust, into the point of sale software. That's not a place that they needed to have access to. So that segmenting them out to a least privileged component can help you save on some of that. The statement was detect supply chain intrusions early with unified telemetry. All right, that is not necessarily what you're probably thinking, but what it's saying is that early detection is the key to containing a risk. If that intrusion happens with one of your supply chain people, the sooner you can detect it, the sooner you can identify it, the sooner that you can block it. That's the key. You want to block this stuff as quickly as you possibly can. The way that you do that is having some ability to detect it. And there's a number of ways that we can do this. You can use a security incident and event manager. Certainly looking for threats, maintaining what's going on in the news. There's a lot of different ways to do this. And frankly, all of those pieces are going to be important, but you've got to start doing it if you're going to detect it and you're going to stop it early. Early detection is key. And this goes through really most areas of cybersecurity. And then finally, build recovery into your supply chain security strategy. Resilience, resilience, resilience. You want to detect early, like we just talked about, but in addition to that, figure out how to isolate compromised endpoints quickly. How do you automate some of these recovery testing for confidence, and to make sure that it's ready? There's so many of these these components that we could walk through. I'm not going to walk through all these, but what I do want you to understand is that as you think about the resilience of your strategy and of your plan, that supply chain piece has to be in mind. You have to keep that in mind. Your supply chain, your IT providers, your software vendors, all of your technology providers are part of your network ecosystem. When you're thinking about strategies to detect and strategies to respond and your resilience approach, all of those pieces have to be included in that. So, anyway, keep that in mind. There's a lot that can go into supply chain. It's a complicated, boring world that you don't really want to talk about, but it's important. And if you want to talk more about it, reach out and I can kind of guide you in how to consider that and what steps to take. Anyway, thank you very much for listening on 10 at 10, and I will see you next week back here on 10 at 10. Thank you. Bye.